The interesting thing about artificial intelligence is it lives on the continuum of innovation. So let's take a step back. What was our first technology? Well, I would argue that it's fire. And fire was transformative. It allowed us to stay up late, to migrate, to move, to cook food, to eat protein that grew our brains, that had profound implications. But we could also use fire as a weapon. So fire had an intrinsic duality of wonder and fear. And that's always existed with technology. Now let's move up a few thousand years into something like the airplane. Well, that first airplane had the same duality, wonder and fear. That's the coolest thing I ever saw, but I'm not getting in it. And we saw that with things like the driverless car. All sorts of innovations have that same sense of curiosity that is driven by the polarity, maybe almost the limbic desire of fight or flight. All of those have often been mechanical advantages. The mechanical advantage of the airplane, we could fly. The mechanical advantage of the bicycle, the mechanical advantage of steam. That changed things. But now what we're seeing in artificial intelligence is a cognitive shift. It's a thinking machine. And that's where we are. We are in this duality of wonder and fear. The interesting thing is the bigger the innovation, the bigger the fear. And I think we are sitting right in the throes of not only a cognitive revolution, but one that is driven by fear. The sad reality is most people get their information about AI and GPT-3 from Hollywood in the context of dystopian movies. And that's my biggest problem. The collaboration of individuals I would refer to as the concept of super radiance. It's actually a concept in physics. It's when coherent atoms are aligned, the field strength varies by the number squared. So a particle of 5 units of energy combines with a particle of 5 units of energy. It's not 10, it's 5 to the second power, or 25. And I think we're seeing a level of human synergy where people can speak with one another, can validate, number one, validate their interests and their concerns about AI and technology, but also can sort of take comfort, if you will, in the context that while these fears are important, they are something that they're not insurmountable. So for me, it's the ability to come together with people, understand the path forward, and kind of establish guidelines about where we're going. Where does AI go in healthcare? I don't think that there is. Well, let's take a step back. Where does AI go in humanity? I don't think that we can even tease that out now, because our ability to use things like large language models, GPT-3, is so inculcated in our lives now that to try to separate something out in medicine is going to be very, very difficult. Look, in this final analysis, medicine is driven by a concept called the differential diagnosis. In other words, if I have a patient with a particular clinical condition, I make a list of what those potential things might be. As long as I remember what's on that list, I'm in good shape. But in many instances, I may not. For example, for therapeutic options, I may not know of available clinical trials that might be perfect for this person, new drug therapies, new drug-drug interactions. So I think that AI will become a tool to establish a cognitive palette for human curation. It will give clinicians a greater perspective on both data and options and allow her to make a better choice. Look, simply put, it's impossible to assimilate all the information that's coming at a clinician today. From new drugs to clinical trials to therapeutic advances to changes in guidelines, it's actually impossible. We only have one path forward, and that path is technology. And within technology is AI. My name is John Nosta, and I'm an innovation theorist. My background is actually in cardiovascular pathophysiology, but much to the dismay of my parents, I left medical school and ended up working in advertising and marketing. So I jokingly tell people that I'm bilingual, that I speak medicine and marketing. And for me, I try to optimize the process of the diffusion of innovation. So it's great to have a good idea, but if nobody uses the idea, what good is it? And we see in complex systems like healthcare, the idea is only part of the challenge. It's the ability to diffuse that into a complex system, and that's what I do.